If you own a private practice and you feel trapped because every dollar depends on you actually being in the room, I want you to pay attention, because in this video, I'm going to break down how smart clinic owners are restructuring their business, their team, and their schedule so that they can work less and still make more. Hey, what's up, guys? If you're a private practice owner who's the main producer in the business, this is going to be for you. You probably want to step out of treatment, work a little less, and still have a little bit of income that you need to support your home and in your life. But right now, it feels like if you decide to slow down, the money stops. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a 3-phase plan to fix your money math, build leverage with your team and your money systems, and redesign your schedule so that you're not chained to the clinic. By the way, this is the exact process that we're going to use inside of our CEO Accelerator program. So I'm giving it to you all for free. Don't tell anybody. All right. What I want you to do is leave this video with a very clear roadmap so that you can realistically execute a plan within the next 12 to 24 months. Instead of someday, hopefully one day it might appear. Okay. So this is not theory. This is actual steps. I promise there's going to be value. Stick with me. Okay. So the first idea here is that this is a math problem, guys. You can't step out of treatment until the money math makes sense. Most owners, including myself in the past, not as much recently, but what we do is we try to cut our hours before we build enough margin and capacity inside of our business to pay ourselves as an owner and not just a clinician. I also see this show up with owners who want to scale really quickly. They say, I want to open up a second location, but they haven't really built the money model first. So the point is that you have to know two primary numbers in order for this to work, to even get started. Number one, you must know your personal financial needs. Number two, you must know your clinic margins. Your personal financial needs is just simply the monthly amount of money that you actually need to cover your home, your lifestyle, and maybe a little bit of buffer. I like to have 10 to 20% personal savings every month. So we want to make sure that we're building that out, that model out for your home, protect you as the owner, so that way you can be more aggressive in your business, okay? Second thing is your clinic margins. Simply, how much profit is left after paying everyone and paying for everything at market rates, including paying a clinician to do your job. Okay. So if your clinic only makes money when you treat, then you don't really own a business. You own a job without overhead. All right. So let's break down the framework. Here it is. Phase one is to stabilize and squeeze. I'm going to say that one more time. You will increase effective hourly value and net margins before you cut time. Okay, so you have to earn the time. All right. So that might mean, that's going to mean maximizing your revenue per visit. That's a big one. It's going to mean tightening up your cancellations and your no-shows. It's going to mean cleaning up your low profit insurance contracts. And it's also going to mean reducing obvious waste. Things like unprofitable services, bloated admin, and unused software. Or maybe you have space in your office, in your building, that is going unused. All right. So your goal in this phase is to get to healthy margins with you still in treatment, so that your clinic can afford to pay one or two other providers and still pay you as an owner. And once the business can support that, stepping back becomes more of a math problem, more objective instead of emotional, which is going to be huge for you and your mental health as a business owner. All right. So the action item in this stage is to write down your real personal number, your personal take-home number that you need, then run a very simple pro forma to see what your clinic would profit if all of your current treatment hours were done by staff at their full pay. All right. That gap is what we're closing with the next two ideas, right? So odds are you're going to run that and you're not going to quite be there, which is fine. That becomes the goal right now. So I'll walk you how to operationalize that. Okay. Quick note. If you do want a little bit of help with this, you can check out the show notes. And in the show notes, you will see a link somewhere to download a free KPI dashboard and a pro forma tool that you can use to help make this math work. It's a very useful tool. It's the tool that we started off our coaching program with, and a lot of our clients love it. So check it out. It's free. Hopefully that'll add some value. Okay. Big idea number 2 is this is when you get to start building leverage. So you're deploying leverage inside your company, which means you're going to get more for what you put in. Okay. Right now you may be in that phase where I only get paid when I work, right? This is where you start to design a system that pays you a little more even if you don't work. Okay. And the way to do that is to start deploying leverage in different areas of the company. So if that's you're in the hustle phase, but if you want to be a smart clinic owner, what you'll start to do is you'll change your structure, you'll change your model so that you can make margin on other clinicians' time and on the right financial systems, period. Right? And when you do that, that's how you can start to work less and earn a little bit more. All right. So step 1 here is hiring or leveling up your providers whose time that you can profitably sell. So what does that mean? This is a really important point because I see a lot of owners get stuck here because there's a few various stuck points, but this is a very obvious one. And that's either we're paying our team too much or they're not productive enough to sustain a healthy private practice. And a lot of that is because for a few reasons, the market's hard. We care about our team. We want to pay them. We want to support them. We can't lose them. It's hard to find therapists. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. But the point is, a lot of times the math just doesn't math, right? So a rule of thumb is that each full-time clinician should generate somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5 times their total compensation and collected revenue. And that's going to depend on your market. It's going to depend on if you're in California or South Mississippi or New York. But 2.5 to 3.5 times is generally where you need to land from your clinical team in order to make this model work, to make this practice work. If your team is not generating that, then you're going to struggle. You're going to continue to struggle to make payroll, and you're definitely going to have a hard time stepping out of the business, okay? You can't pay somebody $80 an hour who only generates $90 an hour and expect to get rich or expect to create a practice that offers you a little bit of freedom. So what we need to try to do is align your rates, your schedule, and your caseload so that each provider is truly profitable in a way that's consistent on your pro forma. Your pro forma is objective, okay? It's just math. This has to happen in order to make it work, okay? There's a ton of freedom that happens in your life once you start making objective decisions around your money and not being so romantic or emotional about it. I still struggle with it. I'm just saying it's a journey we're all on, but this is the way that you can start doing that, all right? And so this means that every single provider on your team, whether you have them there now or whether you decide to hire them in the future, must, number 1, ethically bill or ethically code and document their services to maximize their productivity. No units left on the table. Number 2, maintain consistent productivity that generates at least 2.5 to 3.5 times their total compensation package. And 3, they must be compensated at a rate that supports an even exchange according to the pro forma, which is the objective truth, okay? Pro forma makes the rules, not Adam, not you as the owner. The financial strategy makes the rules, all right? And ideally, we want to be able to do that in a way that helps your team feel fairly paid, feel like fairly compensated, and the business still makes a margin, an owner margin. so that you can get paid for all the risk and the heartache and the work that you're doing, right? We have to make sure that we create that even exchange. From there, we can start tightening up your money systems. Tightening up your money systems. And there are 3 big ones. Guys, let me tell you, if you get this right, if you will unlock so much more from your life, from your business, from your team. Everything gets clear when you get clear on the money. I promise you. I know that that's hard to understand, but if you just trust me, everything will be so much lighter and more predictable and your culture will improve. Everything about your business, everything that you want out of your business will come from objective clarity. You'll create a calmness, you'll create a composure, you'll create a clarity in yourself and in your team. And it's a great place to be, I promise. So focus on clarity on your numbers, okay? So your money systems. Number 1, your over-the-counter collections. The expectation for that should be close to 100% collected every day at the front desk. All your co-pays, your co-insurance, your deductibles. The point is that you don't want any dollar slipping through the cracks. There's real money being missed at your front desk right now. And by the way, it's not all profit. Some of that is, if I collect it well, then I can hire better team members, or I can hire more team members, or I can create bonus programs for my team, there's a lot you can do with that money. That's your money, and that needs to come in and support the business, okay? Number 2, your billing and collections. Your AR, your accounts receivable, should be squeaky clean. Your denials are low. Your contracted rates with your insurances should be profitable. Ideally, you only want to contract with companies who are at least paying you 10% above your average cost per visit. That's another metric that you can use just by getting clear on your pro forma. Okay, that way you can start making decisions who you go and network with and who you don't. All right. So number 3 is volume. We don't want to create a mill. We're not here to be unethical. We want to keep our patients first, our team first. And so it's not about like squeezing whatever. It's not about, you have to be able to generate a certain amount of visit volume in order to be profitable. You're not going to do it with 1 visit a week, right? As you grow up, as you scale up your volume, it's easier and easier for you to remain consistently profitable. All right. So volume is important. Once your team is productive, it's important. Once your team is productive and your money systems are tight, then you can start safely ramping up volume for the total company. And why is that important? Because as total visits go up, your cost per visit starts to come down. And the reason why that is because your fixed costs in your company stay the same while your top line revenue continues to grow. And at this point, your providers are already profitable. Your net profit and your net profit margin will scale up with volume. All right. So now you can look at your pro forma, and once you have a clean model, you can ask yourself this question: at what volume does my practice start paying me enough to have options? Right? And that is a really powerful place for you to be. That's a really powerful problem for you to start solving as an owner, because now you can start playing offense with your business instead of being reactive and being defensive around everything, right? So now you're creating the thing, you're designing that solution as opposed to hoping and praying every month, which is that transition. When you start that shift in perspective, that shift in leverage, and that shift in intention will transform your business. And all of that is captured inside your metrics, right? And so the goal here is more revenue per patient and more profit per hour that doesn't require your personal presence. All right. And so then you can start becoming the architect of the model and not just the muscle in the room, the person who just has to see all the patients. And so in many clinics, the owner keeps the high value cases, the high value clients, the influencers in the community, and you train other providers on the standard and routine ones. And over time, you can flip that. Your team will handle most of the volume, and you only step in where your unique skill, expertise, and influence really matter, if at all. And you can design that based on the way you want to live, right? If you want to do more of that, you do more of that. And if you don't, you don't. The point is you have options, and you have a business that gives you a life that you like. And I want that for you, okay? Okay, so your action item is for you to map your current services. What do you deliver, at what rate, at what capacity? Map that out, and who delivers them. You can do that on your pro forma, right? Then design a version of that where at least 70 to 80% of your revenue can be produced by other people at a healthy margin. Healthy margin to me is 15 to 20%, right? That's a sustainable. 15 is a little of a stretch. 20 is good. You have options, right? So trying to create operationalizing that 20% margin is really, really important, in my opinion. All right. Okay. Now we're clear on how to take care of our home, right? And we've got a strong pro forma with strong financial systems. Now, your next big idea, your next project, this is the third step, is your role and your schedule. You can start to transition your role and your schedule in phases, not overnight, right? But most owners never change. They live the same life every year, over and over and over and over, and they stay stuck. Or they go straight from 40 hours a week of treatment to full-time CEO in one short, quick decision, and their team panics and their systems fail and their cash starts to dip. Don't do either of those, right? I have a mentor of mine that tells me all the time that the answer is usually somewhere in the middle, right? And so this is one of the examples where somewhere in the middle is a good idea, especially if you've never done this with your team before. Because as you step back, your systems will start to break and you will start to have to learn new skills to be able to drive execution through people while you're not there. That's a different skill. That's another YouTube video, okay? What I recommend is doing it in about 3 main phases. And ideally, you'll know exactly what to do in each phase and what success looks like in each of those. Okay, so phase 1 is the 80-20 phase, right? So in this phase, you're still going to stay mostly a clinician, 80%, but you're going to carve out 1 half day a week as a protected CEO time. That means no patients, no stuff, no emails, no exceptions. You're unavailable, right? That's uninterrupted time, deep work time. That's the initial phase after you kind of get these systems starting to go. They're not perfect, but you're getting them to go pretty well. During that time, that newfound CEO time, you work on the systems. You work on the systems that we just talked about, the SOPs, the hiring, the training, and tracking your metrics. All right, you're in that time, you're going to build the machine that will eventually replace your hours. That is the protected time. And you're probably going to have to work a little bit of nights and weekends too to get through. This is the hardest phase of business. All right. But once you get things starting to work and you start to see that margin start to improve, then you can move into phase 2, which is going to be 50-50. Okay. So as your team starts to fill up, maybe you hire a provider or two and your margins start to improve, you intentionally pull 4 to 8 treatment hours off of your schedule and replace them with more owner work. Okay, so the machine's starting to work. So you're going to pull yourself off the floor, give yourself a little bit more bandwidth to focus on more of that work so that you can make it better. Okay? You give all the people that you're no longer going to be treating, you give those slots to your providers and not the trash can, right? So your team is going to continue generating that revenue. And so with that, your income will stay stable because the volume shifts to them and your owner time gets to grow so that you can create more income, right? And so in this phase, this is where you really are going to start to focus on tightening up the operations. You can start improving things like marketing and retention and making sure that each provider's schedule and outcomes are really, really strong. You may be able to start teaching them a sales process to make sure that you get that patient experience that you're looking for. This phase is really about building your team, all right? And through this phase, you become less essential to the day-to-day, but more essential to the vision and the growth of the business. This is where you kind of start looking, we call it kind of like a stage 3 owner, where you start building that leadership team. And you start thinking about what a clinic director might look like in your company, right? Okay, once you get through that phase, you get to transition over into phase 3, which this is where you start to have options, right? So you're either going to have option A, which is going to be the 20/80, or option B, which is going to be 0/100. Really just depends on what you want to do with your practice at this point. The point is you have options, right? So you can decide if you want to see a small caseload, maybe 20% of the time for some fun or for some brand value, or you can decide to see none at all if you want to focus on being a full-time business owner, a full-time CEO, and scaling out other areas of your business or of your life. That's where things start to actually get fun. Either way, you only do what you want to do and what is truly high leverage to you in the business. Usually that is things like leadership, big relationships, and key strategic decisions. And the model that you built, which is your providers and your systems, they handle the rest. So what is your action item for this stage? It is to pick your next phase shift. This is assuming that you've kind of gone through, idea number 1 and idea number 2, and you're in that transition phase, right? You need to decide which phase you're in right now. Is it moving from 40 to 32 clinical hours, or from 24 to 16? Or is it from, 20 to 10, right? But define what that transition, put that on a timeline on your calendar, maybe for the next 90 days, and back into the hiring, training, and demand that you need to make it actually work, to actually design that. And you can use the objective data from your pro forma to help you with that decision-making process. But the key now is that the decision is actually that. It's a decision. It's an intentional, designed idea from you, and it's not a hope and a wish, right? Which is going to be a lot more sustainable for you. So, as always, I want to give you a quick bonus to consider. This is a mistake that I've made, and that it's extremely common, not just for private practice owners, but for business owners in general. At this point, if you're transitioning out of care, you're having some financial success, you're things are moving up, right? And a lot of time that's going to come with a little bit of time freedom, a little bit of financial freedom. The mistake that you can make right here is to inflate your lifestyle faster than the business can handle. That is really important, because that financial status can shift very quickly. It's a delicate thing. So you want to make sure that you over prepare, right? And the point there is that if every extra dollar goes to a bigger house or a nicer car or more subscriptions, maybe you upgrade your Netflix account or your Hulu account or whatever, you're never going to actually feel safe stepping back. Every time you put more pressure on your household, you're going to invite that stress back into your life. So you want to, one of the keys to success and to create more abundance in your life is to have that gap between what your business can pay you and what it costs to live. So you want to give yourself a runway. You want to aim to keep your personal lifestyle flat while you continue to build margin and capacity over time. And that work will pay off big time for you. You can use the extra cash to continue to buy back your time. You can buy better staff, better systems. You can start saving, right? A little bit every month. That way, when you have a slow month, or when you have a setback, or when a provider decides to resign, or when that insurance contract decides to do something funny, that slow hiccup doesn't put you back into the treatment room full time. And that is a really strong discipline. And it's also, if you can figure that out and you can have a little discipline there, it's what will make stepping out possible without having a panic attack every time a scheduling gap shows up. So make sure you build out that margin. All right. So I think that's about it. Let's quickly recap. If you want to work less and still earn more from your private practice, here is your path. Step 1, fix the money math so that your business can afford to pay you as an owner and not just a clinician. Step 2 is to build leverage through your team and your money systems so that most of the revenue comes from other people in your company as at a profit, right? And then step 3 is when you get to actually redesign your schedule in phases, the 80-20, then 50-50, then 20-80 or 0-100, whichever one you prefer. Do that instead of jumping off of a cliff, and do that, and you go from a trapped provider in your practice to an actual owner with a life who owns an asset, which is super cool. And I want that for you. Okay. If you want help doing this faster, here's what you can do if it makes sense. Obviously, if you're getting a ton of value from these YouTube videos, continue to watch them. But if you want done for you support with things like admin, operations, so that you can free up clinical time, I want you to look around, and you're going to find a link to book a call with Inbox Zero VA. Using that link, we can help you place a virtual assistant to help you offload some of the low leverage tasks that are on your plate. If you want coaching, playbooks, and a community of entrepreneurs and practice owners who are making this exact transition, you can find the link to apply for the Private Practice Owners Club down below. Either way, what you don't want to do is just consume this and move on, because that's not going to solve this problem. The only thing that's going to solve is doing stuff, taking action. So pick one change from this video that you learned today and put it on your schedule for next week. All right? I'm Adam. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.